everybody, welcome to my channel. It has been such a long time since I did any designs with Tila beads, and so I felt like doing some things with them today. And so what you see here is my design that is I tried it in 3 different ways, 3 different stringing material. So if you like this project, you don't need very many beads. You will need 3 full Tila beads, 2 half Tila beads, and 4 quarter Tila beads. So you really don't need much. And then these are 11-0 Toho seed beads that are spacing everything out. But I also have done a version with some 15-0, and I really like those better because this is a minimalist like necklace bar. And I think I'm actually going to mix the 11-0s and the 15-0s. So this is the necklace bar done on wire. So I did a 22 gauge wire for the bottom row and a 26 gauge wire for the top row, and did my wire wrapped loops. So as you can see, the chain would attach to either side of these bars. And these are not terrible, but in order to get that pretty curve, what I really wanted is for my Tila beads to be touching across the top. And with these stringing methods, it was really difficult to get it tight enough. So it's not terrible, but I didn't love it. So then I went to a needle and thread. And this one was more or less perfect. I just didn't care for my loops here. So I think I'm going to scale those down to 15-0 seed beads. The 11-0s are in scale just a little bit too big for the Tila bead necklace bar. So it's super easy. This is just a few minutes, and I have a really cool way that I'm going to string this. And then I also did these awesome earrings, Tila bead earrings. And really you could do any length that you want. I did these long and dramatic. I love the little bit of negative space that I created with the seed beads. And then with this loop on the bottom, you can hang anything you want. I pulled out crystals. I pulled out some of my little bows that I have that for a totally different look. But in the end, I decided that one of my donut beads to match my donut bead bracelet was what I wanted to do. And it's just so fun, lightweight. And, you know, you can make this really colorful. You can do it more metallic, like depending on what Tila beads you have. And so for this, like, I can't really give you an ingredient because I basically mixed up the same Tila beads that I'm doing for the necklace bar. And of course, if you wanted to do this as a bracelet, you totally could. And you could also do these work great on stretch cord. I didn't do that here today. I have a really cool way to string it. I got a little bunch of these tiny ball chains that are color coded at the craft store, and there were, I forget, 3 or 4 in the pack for $1.50. And so this came with silver findings, the silver double clamshell and the silver lobster claw and chain. But of course I want gold, that's my favorite, but also I need to modify this because not only do I need a clasp, but for this design I need to cut this in the middle so that I can attach here and here. So I've already changed out one with this tiny little double clamshell connector, and I'm going to show you how to do that if this is a new finding for you. And so I really like the idea of the extender chain. So I have a little scrap of chain, and those of you that know me, you know I just don't like leaving the last link on my extender chain blank. So like this commercially made one was really sweet. It has this tiny little teardrop for a decoration on the extender chain, but I'm going to put a little bow from my stash. So I'll link these little bows. I just found them and I'm in love with them. I've been using them for so many different applications. So if you want to do this along with me, grab a needle. You can use a 10, 11, or a 12. I have a 12 here. This is one of my color-coded needles. It has the red on it so that I know it's a size 12. And I have it threaded with, I just took a wingspan of my Wildfire, and I'm using pink 10-pound. It's the 0.006 diameter. I can also link this. I love that. I use it in pink and beige kind of alternatively. And so I've just threaded my needle, and what I found was helpful for stringing this was basically to leave my beads all laying flat. And so I don't think you'll be able to see, but I tied off, I can't even see. I tied off at the base, I can't even see, it was either here or here, and pulled my knot inside. So it's really like all in one, an infinity piece. And like I said, I tried 3 different methods of composing this little necklace bar, and the needle and thread method was just seamless. So on this one, you know, I like this one too. This one I did with the magical crimping plier. So if you really focus, you can see that my crimp is right there, hidden among the 11-0 seed beads. And so this one is not terrible either, but I pulled as much as I could, and I still had a little bit of unwanted space at the top of my Tila beads. Also on this one, you have to make your loops larger, because the magical crimping plier, for those of you that are new to this tool, it has like, you have to fit inside your loop. And so in order to get over that, get the divot over that crimp tube, so I had to make a larger loop than I really wanted. So like I say, the needle and thread method just really was the best. Okay, so to start off with, I have 11-0 seed beads, and I am going to put a stop bead on my, I'll just use one of my crystals that I plan to use. I'm going to put a stop bead. It's not really necessary because this is such a small bit of needle and thread work, but just for newer people, if you need a stop bead, you thread your bead on and bring it down to the point where you're leaving yourself the tail length that you need. And on this, I want a little bit of a tail because I'm going to like thread this back in, and you know, I want a little bit of a tail to work with. And then you just put your needle through that bead in the opposite direction and just pull. And so you have a bead on your thread that, you know, will keep your smaller beads from falling off as you work. So I'm going to start by threading on 6 of my 11-0 Toho gold seed beads. And then I have these laid in the order that I want to string them. And your Tila beads are small, so stringing them can sometimes be challenging. But I'm going to start at the bottom. I'm going to put my needle through what I'm deeming is going to be the bottom hole. And I'm just going to pick up my first 2 quarter Tilas and let those go on the needle, and then 1 11-0 seed bead, and then through the bottom hole of my next Tila bead, and then another 11-0 seed bead, and then my half Tila bead. And again, I have them laid out here so that, you know, I can keep myself organized and see what I'm doing. Then another 11-0, and then the bottom of my next Tila bead, 11-0, Tila, 11-0, Tila, 11-0, and then without a spacer in between, I'll just put my 2 quarter Tilas on, and then my 6 11-0s, which will ultimately be the loop that will connect to my chain. So my pattern is on. This is my bottom, and I'm just going to bring it down, and that's the bottom. So I'm going to be going this way. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. And now I have my loop here. So now I'm just going to run my needle back across the top, and on the top there are no spacer beads, and that's what gives that nice curve. So I'm just letting my mat be an extra hand, and I have my needle through the top. So now I can pick this up. And I'm just going to pull. Pull, 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 nice and tight. And I got my pretty curve. Looks great. This method was just the absolute easiest. So now I can pull my stop bead off. Just pull it right off. I'm going to use those to make a little component for my necklace. So if you keep pulling at this point, can you see I'm pulling my tail thread? You can't really tighten your little necklace bar very well until you go back through. So now I'm going to run my needle back through my seed beads going toward my necklace bar. And I want to make sure that I don't miss a bead, but I'm going to run my needle all the way through. So this is going to reinforce. It's going to make my little Tila bead necklace bar really solid, like firm, not floppy, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I'm just going to reinforce. I'm just going to run my needle back through all my beads and just make sure, I can do a few at a time and just make sure that I'm not missing any. And now when I tug, my tail is not pulling through. It's already started to be more of a solid necklace bar. And I'm just going to weave back around to my tail. Just a couple beads at a time, reinforce those loops. So look at that. It's so pretty and it's dainty, and just love a lot of you know me a little bit, and you know that I really love minimalist jewelry. It's one of my favorite styles of jewelry. And I love stick jewelry. I love stick earrings and stick pendants. And so Tila bead stick earrings, when I was working on this, I thought, oh, I have to do some earrings. And I also have to say that I thought what a wonderful little component this would be to make them in pairs and put a jump ring or a beaded component and make large links for a bracelet. I may come back and show you that idea, worked up, because I thought that would be a really make the Tila beads have a larger presence. And this component, as you can see, it's very easy. You make it up in like 5 minutes. If I weren't explaining what I'm doing and going slowly, I'd already be done. And tie a knot in this direction. I've gone around my necklace bar 3 times. So it is really secure and really firm. And then I'm just going to turn my work and go in the opposite direction. Isn't that so pretty? It's just really pretty. And what I was thinking, these are a little bit different, but making several of these and then creating a circle component and connecting them with either a beaded component here or just jump rings, and making a bracelet or a necklace with these half circle Tilas, I think it would be so pretty. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out. I'm going to take some scraps of 20 gauge wire and my small one-step looper, the 1.5 millimeter, and I'm going to use those 2 little crystals and make a couple of components or connectors that will go from my bracelet bar into the chain. So just feed my little crystal on and put a simple loop. Just a fast, fun little dainty crystal connector. Do another one. And now I'm going to prepare my chain. So this is super easy to modify. I'm just going to cut right here and just get rid of, I mean, I'll save this for another project, this extender chain, but just get rid of the silver. And then the secret to this cup chain is to have the right size clamshell for the size of the ball on your cup chain. And also I have found that if I lay it on my mat and just lay, let me again zoom in, if I just lay my cup chain, not cup chain, I'm so sorry guys, ball chain. I work with a lot of cup chain too, but just lay it on my mat and just come in with my pliers and close it. Just close it over the ball. And then you just want to, you know, line up those loops because you have to get a jump ring through your loops. And it's really secure. Since my ball chain is very small, I've opted for my Xuron, my really small pliers. So I have my tools listed in the description box for those of you that are newer. I just was gifted the Bead nylon jaw inner pliers and I love them, but they're a little bit bigger. So depending on what I'm working on, sometimes I switch to my Xuron. I have them both just right here on the right hand side. So this is ready for my extender chain and my little decoration on the end of my extender chain. And I'm going to go into this selection of jump rings, and it has every millimeter size. I don't even know what they all are, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different sizes, and the coordinating lobster claws. And I'm just going to put that through both of the loops there and add my extender chain. And then to this end of my extender chain, I'm going to attach this tiny little bow, but I'm going to remove one of the loops. I'm going to modify the bow. Just snip off one of those loops because I only want one. And I'm going to attach that through the remaining loop. Those are the cutest little connectors, but I only wanted one loop today. So don't forget that you can modify your findings so easily the way that I am doing to this chain, to these little bows. I'm just going to pop that little bow on there. And you can totally leave your extender chain, like your last link, empty. But for me, I usually wire wrap a tiny little bead, or you know, put a little metal charm of some sort, because for me, like, to have this little bow hanging on my neck, on the back of my necklace. Again, I don't want to have a hard time clasping this, so I actually forgot what I was going to do here. But I'm going to take out 2 more of this size jump ring, and I'm going to snip my chain and again modify this chain a little bit so that let's see, and all I'm going to do is snip my chain in 2 places and connect it again with those jump rings. So my lobster claw clasp will have a couple of different places to go. So maybe right here will be the first one. And put my other chain back on there. To make sure things are closed really well when you're doing finer, more dainty pieces. And then I'm going to come out here to the end and do another one right there. So it really will be an adjustable necklace. I can add a little bit of length or shorten it depending on what my neckline of my garment is looking like. And for me, it's really important that things are easy to clasp and take on and off, because at least for me, I end up not wearing it. When I'm getting dressed, I will end up not wearing it. So there's my extender chain, and I have, like, you know, 1, 2, 3 different places that I can clasp my lobster claw. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same thing here. Let me zoom back out. So now I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to find the middle of my chain right about there, and I'm going to cut this in half and put 2 more clamshells so that I can attach it to my Tila necklace bar. And it's the same exact steps. Just going to lay my ball, my end ball in the little cup there and just close it. I tend to gravitate toward using jump rings a lot because they just add a lot of movement and fluidity to pieces. So I'm going to do the same ones the same size that I used for my extender chain. So super easy connecting. I'm going to put 1 jump ring through my necklace bar and then 1 of my connectors. And then, you guessed it, another little jump ring on the other side of the connector that connects to my clamshell finding. So this goes through the necklace bar and then my clamshell finding. I matched up my loops on my clamshell when I closed it, made sure they were matched up so that I don't have a difficult time threading that small little clamshell onto things because it's small. And of course you can do this on a larger scale. You could do your bar a little bit bigger and you could use larger ball chain, but look how sweet that connection is. And I'm going to come to this side and do the exact same thing. This is so sweet and beautiful. And I just love using the ball chain. It's just a nice refreshing change, and I love having the little sweet handmade details of like a bow and like a customized extender chain. I just think that is so lovely. Oh my goodness. Okay, I want to play with this, and I actually want to stop and try it on, but we're going to jump over to the earrings. So let me show you this one more time. I just have this assortment of ear wires, so I chose one that I liked the look of, and that's what I'm going to use for that. And I'm going to do the same thing again. Let me grab, I've used my crystals. Let me grab another little bead here. So I'm going to start with 10 11-0 seed beads. These are going to be my loop. Just let those drop down. And then I am going to do the same thing again, is line up my beads here on my mat, the way that I will pick them up with my needle. So I have one of these green beads, and I have to thank you to Peggy Bush, our dear friend, because some of the Tila beads were part of a gift that she sent me. I shared it with you guys in a video, but she had purchased some Tila beads to do a bracelet, and she said, I know you'll use these, and I know I'm not going to make this bracelet, and she shared them with me. And I actually didn't have that many quarter Tila size beads, and they're so small. I mean, the quarter size is just like a little sliver of a bead. It's kind of amazing that there's even 2 holes in there. But thank you, Peggy, because when I decided to do this project, I was so glad to have those from my stash, from what you sent me. So I'm just matching this pattern up exactly to my other earring. Okay, that's really good. Can zoom in a little bit more again. And I'm just going to pick up this side. So pick up my Tila, and again, I'm spacing out. I did created my negative space with different amounts of the 11-0 seed bead. So on this first one, I just did 1, and then I picked up my Tila bead, and then I did 3. So 3, 1, 2, 3. Obviously, the more seed beads you put in between, the more of this kind of negative space that you get, and I love that look. And then my next bead was a pink full Tila bead, and then without a spacer, a quarter Tila, and I'm staying on the right side of my little pattern, and then 1 11-0 seed bead, another quarter Tila, and then no seed bead for the next 2. This pretty AB lavender and this bronze. And then I'm right here in my pattern, so 2 11-0s. And then a full Tila, the bronze, the lavender, and the quarter Tila. And then 1 11-0, and then my quarter Tila and my full Tila. And then at the top, what I did is 1 11-0, and then 6 15-0s, and then an 11-0, and then ran my needle back down. So 1 11-0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to go this way. I'll be kind of working upside down, but that way I can easily run my needle through this side. So I'm going to pick up my 11-0 that's right at the top, and the reason I did that is just to make this loop really pretty for attaching my ear wire, and an even number of beads so that my ear wire can sit right in between 2 of the beads. And I have gotten a couple of questions because it's been a while since I did a Tila bead video, but I did have a couple of questions about why the Tila beads twist, and whether you're stringing on 49 strand bead stringing wire like I did on this one, or even the wire, they can tend to want to twist, and that has to do with your tension. So on this earring, when I was tying off, I pulled everything down and just made sure that it wasn't so tight. You want them touching and you want it secure, but there's no twist in this because I just played with getting my tension just right. So if that was your question, hopefully that will help you. There's a sweet spot on tension because you want it tight, but not so tight. Okay, so I'm just going to come through my top 2 Tila beads and do the same thing we did on the necklace bar. I'm going to match the other side. So this time 1 11-0, and then through. This side is super easy because you're just matching the other side. So I'm going to come out, go through this pink one, and come out the other side, maybe. And pick up 2 11-ohs and just continue all the way till I get back to what will be my loop on the other end. And if you want to, like if it's easier to hold it in your hand, you can do that too. Like it's, once you have one side done, it's really easy. Okay, so I'm at the bottom of my piece and I'm going to pull off my stop bead, and everything is, nothing is secure, so I'm actually pulling my thread. So it's going to be the same thing as the necklace bar. Get that stop bead off of there. And I don't want to waste that much thread, so I'm going to pull back in this direction so that I have a reasonable tail. And same thing, now I'm going to go up through all of my first 10 seed beads and reinforce. I'm going to go up to the top, making sure that my needle goes through every bead, and come back down and tie off the same way that I did on my necklace bar. Just hanging on to that tail and reinforcing. And like I say, getting that so everything is tight together. So let me pull that loop. Let's see, I've just pulled my thread, and see how everything is already flat. So that's about the right tension. But I'm going to run my needle up, reinforce my top loop, come back down, tie off right here, and just make sure that it's not so tight that it's twisting, and then pop on my ear wire and my bottom dangle, my ring, my glass ring bead. I can put a link for those ring beads too. You may already have them if you ordered them, or if you already had some rings to work with in your stash. That's what I use. There's plenty of them in that assortment, so there's plenty to do bracelets and things, but it made such a pretty little dangle at the bottom of this earring. Bella cat, are you hungry, baby? I have the most talkative cat in the world. She speaks to me about all kinds of things. And you guys, I'm going to put some video at the end of today's project. I had such a lovely walk last night. It was really cool here in Florida, in Central Florida. Like our first really cool day in the 60, about 60 degrees actually. Bella cat, you have to give me a minute. And anyway, I walked over to the pond, and Marcello and Wally Gator both swam toward me. The ducks, the herons, those little sandpipers and turtles. It's usually really hard to get the turtles on film. They're very shy, and they, like, as soon as they see movement, they jump into the water. Bella cat, you're noisy. Anyway, I love animals, and as you can see that I'm totally being bossed around by my cat right now. But it was magical. And I did like 6 different little videos, and I'll edit them together and share it with you guys, because beading is one of the ways that I calm my nerves and cope with life. But getting outside, away from the screens and all of that, is another way, and the wildlife, it's just another way that I kind of nourish myself and replenish myself. So maybe it'll have the same effect on you. Okay, so before I burn this off, I'm just kind of tugging a little bit. My knot is right there, and so see, I have this beautiful earring that's not twisted. Okay, Bella cat, I'm almost done. And I'm just going to get in here and get rid of those threads and pop my little loop or bail at the top and just get it in between those seed beads and just make sure that it's closed really well. Look at that. And then I just did a jump ring large enough to go through my donut, and just added a jump ring to the bottom to open it pretty wide to get through that donut, and then just add it to my 10 loop seed bead loopy situation at the bottom. That is so pretty, and these are so easy and fun and fast. I really hope you guys will give this a try. I do read all your comments, and I know, let me zoom back out, that a lot of you say, I don't do needle and thread, but it adds such a layer to your jewelry making projects and to your designs to be able to thread a needle and do a little bit of this. And this is super easy and fun. And like I say, of the wire and the 49 strand bead stringing wire, this was really the best method. And that's a lot of times the point of my videos, is that if you like a project and you like the way it looks, that I can save you some time, because I usually do a prototype or two before I film or a sketch, and I can give you like the tips and tricks so you don't waste your time. These are not terrible, but this was so much better. So I hope you'll give this a try. Try this little Tila bead project, and I'd love to hear from you if you do, and how yours turn out and what you do to change it up. And honestly, I think since I have all my beads out, I think I need to keep going and do a bracelet to match this set. I thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my little nature excursion from last night, and I will see you guys in the next video. Ciao, friends. turtles are so hard to get on film because they run back into the water when they see me. But they're on the bank today for some reason. There's one of the gators. You see his two eyes.